Alrighty, Sharp Customs. Hope y'all enjoyed the little scoop with the quarter scale with the clear cast. Beat it up a little bit on the front end. Got to raise the suspension on that. Would have liked to have done a longer video. I was actually over there running it for about 5 or 10 minutes before the camera actually got over there. Figured I would take it for a test run off camera and then maybe do a test run on camera. But the camera showed up kind of midway, but the clutch was heating up on it. Don't know what that's all about. We'll figure that out. But definitely need to raise the front suspension. Anyhow, like, share, subscribe, notify. Tonight we're going to talk about these. We've got the first clear cast pole, we've got the second pole, I've got the molds all set up. Basically, as you can, if you take a look at this wondrous, weird looking mold, you can see I've put some reinforcing on the side pieces. That was because you saw me in the last demold break the one side. Basically almost broke it into 3 pieces. Well, didn't really break it, cracked it. Not a big deal. So I want to go over a few things with this type of molding process, because you know, I'm learning. Every time I do one of these, I'm learning. I like to watch videos on YouTube of other people doing composites, and I don't know, I find on there I don't really seem to learn anything. It's like a lot of the videos are, I'm just gonna outright say it, are crap. There's not too many people that do split molds, you know, 1 or 2 pieces. They're pretty lame in my eyes, you know. I'm gonna flip this up. It's nice and rigid. I actually added more bolts to bolt it together. So I've got it all prepped with the PVA. I got the molds cleaned. I fixed up some of the bad stuff. Ooh, that smells pretty strong. So I got a few of the vulnerable spots in these bedsides. I'll grab my flashlight. I'll put some light on the situation. So I've got some gel coat in here that I just brushed in. Because the gallon of gel coat I have states that it is brushed gel coat. Now my idea is to get the whole thing coated tonight, at least in 1 coat of gel coat, let it set up. Now it is unwaxed, which means tomorrow I can come back after it's cured up nice and I can put another coat on, because when we look at the other composite bodies, I will show you that I did do 2 coats on the white gel coat part, but it still came out a little bit thin. Now I want to show everybody what I'm using for materials. So I'm using a chop mat, 6 ounce, and I'm using a woven cloth. Now I'm not going to say that this is a problem, but watch this. Look at the way this moves. I can change the shape. This stuff is really tricky to use, okay? And now when I take this, if I were to try to go up over this hard edge like this, okay, it looks good. You know, it looks good, but when you wet that out, what happens is you end up with bubbles right along these edges. And I don't care what you do. You can use your chip brush, you can use your roller, those bubbles will always appear. Now, when I use the chop, what I have to do in these situations is basically I take a piece of the chop mat and I rip it, and basically what I've been doing, and I'm looking for some insight. Anybody that wants to comment in on this. So basically I put a piece like this, I wet it out, these hairs wrap over, they wrap over nice, and then to join up I come the other direction like this. Okay, now doing that is a very long process. There are many areas in this, which you can see the void, you know, inside the mold. You have 90-degree corners, you have little trim sections. You can only use the hairs. Now, I have found that there is a product called Veil, or some people call it angel hair. Now, I am going to put in an order for that because we got so many intricate corners and 90s, curves, crevices. This stuff that I'm using just it just don't quite cut it, because it takes hours and hours and hours just to, you know, do one of these layups. So enough of what I'm using, and okay, I'll give you the reason why I'm using these materials. Okay, number one, I have a shit ton of this 6-ounce chop mat that I got many years ago. I've got, you know, a couple rolls of it, got it for nothing. Just kind of showed up at my doorstep. The cloth, I used to do boat layups, RC gas boats, you know, big boats, Weed Eater motors, Zenoa 26 motors, the G26, and I always did the layups with a 6-ounce cloth, you know, strips. Actually have an upcoming project. I just had a request for a boat. I do have, well, you can see in my other videos, I do have a couple of boat hulls or molds for boats, and I did just recently get a request for a cat, 44-inch cat, so I'll probably be doing one of those layups very soon. But so enough of the fiberglass, enough of the plug. Let's have a look at the first one we pulled. Let's have a look at the clear cast. I'll take the white one. I'll just set it aside for now. We'll just set it down here. So this is the clear cast we did, and you know, you can see that it's airy, but that airiness, you know what, we did cloth first, we did the woven cloth first, and then we did a chop mat on top of it. That's where the airiness comes in. Now we do have some flange marks, minimal, easily to sand off. I really like this. I like the way it turned out, other than we did rush it a wee bit. And if you look down here, you know, we can find spots where there's, you know, I can get my fingernail in there. There's an air bubble, you know, aside of where I ripped it up, running it out in the parking lot. Up in here, you can see there's some air bubbles. I can get my fingernails in there. Not overly that bad. You know, I figured the grill was always going to be one of those areas that was a little tricky. You know, we did put the milled fiber in here, which made it made the rails nice and solid. They really actually turned out really good. You know, it's kind of in between where you get there's another one where you get the little bit of the air pockets. You know, if we look inside of this, you know, we put the, you know, it was done fast after we put the milled fiber in. We just put the cloth over top of the milled fiber, and it's pretty rough looking. And I can honestly say it actually turned out better than I thought. But, you know, then we've got other areas. We've got other areas. You know, the clear cast really didn't turn out. You look at the bed rails. You know, they're almost solid. They are solid. I did pour resin in there with the milled fiber. Now, the bad spots on here is this inside flange. You can, if you look on this side, you can see that there is, you know, there is a lot of bubbling along this edge. It's not really a big deal. I mean, you could fill it. You know, it's not right through. It was just that initial, you know, this being that really weird spot to kind of work with. You know, other stuff like the stake pockets, the bow tie on the back, that was filled up with milled fibers and resin. And it's, you know, these clear casts, if I put the light inside, they look a little airy. There's little air bubbles in there places, but overall the outside of it is actually pretty smooth. Like, you know, there's the only way you would really know is to sand this all down, give it a good scuff, prime it. Then you would know where all the little flaws are. Now let's move on. I'm gonna just throw this one aside, and we're gonna bring the white one up. We'll bring the white one up, the last one I pulled. Now you can see I've already kind of sanded it. I've worked it. Kind of the whole idea that I was shooting for by doing it piece by piece and then trying to gel coat just the flange seams didn't actually work. I mean, it was okay, but you can see that I've pretty much had to fill all the flange work. Not all of them, but a lot of them with, you know, with a glaze. You can see on the back bed rails, right across the top. I thought maybe that might have been the way to try it. It seemed like a nicer way to work the pieces. Now, as far as air bubbles on this one, not too many air bubbles, other than if we take a look, all these little spots you see were bubbles. Actually, they weren't really bubbles. What they were is they were what they call, you know, in the fiberglass world, they called it chipping. So it was where the gel coat chipped off of the fiberglass. And if you look very close, it's almost like you can see the streaking. See the streaking? That's the brush strokes. I can see the brush strokes going this way, and I can see the brush strokes going this way. And basically, because I can see that streaking, it tells me that the gel coat is very thin. Very thin. We do not want the gel coat quite that thin. I see it, you know, I see it there. I see it in the fender. I can see the brush strokes. And the result of the gel coat being too thin is what, you know, is why you get what they call chipping. You know, the gel coat just, it's just not thick enough. You can literally hit this with air, compressed air, and it will blow pieces of the gel coat off. And that's not what we want. And the best place to look at that is right here on the grill. Right here on the grill. You can see all the missed areas where the gel coat just chipped off. You know, overall, this can all be fixed. You know, overall though, the grill itself, other than just this lower rail, and a couple spots on the bumper. You know, overall, still looks pretty good. Now, I have a lot of people saying, but, well, wait a minute, Sharpie, you know, you're gonna sand and prime and custom paint these anyway, and you're always gonna have a little bit of body work to do. True, but I want to be able to produce these to the point, you know, if somebody wants one, I want to be able to ship it out with very minimal work on their end. So, that being said, this one, number 3, I'm going to try my damnedest to get a nice thick layer of gel coat. I am going to try some new materials if I get them soon enough. If not, I'm one of those people that if I don't get the stuff soon enough, I'm just going to keep using the materials that I have at hand, which is fine. You know, the gloss and the chalk bat, you know, you look inside, you know, minus all the funky colors from the magic markers and some, you know, some dirty material, it's actually not bad. And really, who cares about the inside? You could just spray that one color and it really wouldn't matter. You know, it's not what the inside looks like. In my eyes, it's what the outside finish looks like. Now, I spent a few hours, you know, doing some sanding, putting some glaze on this. I could finish sanding it, prime it, probably put a custom airbrush job on this, and it would look like $1 million bucks. But I still want to pull one of these out of the molds where the gel coat is good, you know, and basically all you got to work is, you know, basically what I call the flange lines, you know, where the split mold all goes together. And this one, the flange lines were big because I did not putty the flange lines. I just let the gel coat go right through all my flange lines. This one, if you look inside it, all the flange lines have been puttied. Most people use a filament wax. I don't know if that's the proper name, proper terminology. Here in Canada we cannot get that stuff, but I used a plasticine. I've already used it. I used it on the clear cast. It works great. And you can even use it if you get little transitions where your split molds, you can see right here where the plasticine is a little heavier, and that's because the two mold pieces, they don't line up properly, so there's a little bit of a transition. So you can actually use the plasticine or the putty, whatever you want to call it, to your advantage. And if you look at the white one, you can kind of see that here, the transitional mark, where I actually had to I had to put some filler in there because there was a transitional mark, because I didn't putty the seams when I did this one. So I just wanted to show everybody the kind of the process behind this. Each one of these, you know, making each one of these is a lot of damn work, between prepping every little piece, you know, repairing the molds. Should never had to have repaired the molds. I should just made the molds thick enough, big enough that, you know, I didn't have to worry about this. This is a good thing though, because this helps me actually pull it when we do the next one. I got something to grab instead of the, you know, busting apart the flanges. But, you know, it's like I said, I'm still learning this stuff. I am not a professional composite builder. This is just a journey I wanted to go on with my quest of a quarter scale, you know, 47 to 53 Chevy pickup. And nobody has yet, just so everybody knows, nobody has yet to show me one. I requested it on the last video. If there's one out there in the world, I'd like to see some pictures. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's fiberglass. I don't care if it's 3D printed. I don't care if it's vacuum molded. Show me a damn picture. Nobody has showed me one. Not gloating on that, saying that mine is, you know, this is the only one in the world, but I'm going to. I think it is. But, so you got a little insight on this quarter scale crap. As you can see, we've been working on the real McCoy 52 Chevy. We're picking at it. We're picking at it. Slowly but surely. The other one is still outside. We're just trying to find some time to get the pair of them in here so we can work on the two of them at the same time. But, you know, bread and butter always being the key word. These two seats, they say Corvette on them. I have a Corvette out the door. I'm going to put this set of power seats into the Corvette. That's tomorrow's project. So, till our next video, I hope you got a little bit of insight. I hope you comment. You know, if you got some insight on maybe some better materials. You know, I'm a cheap bastard, so, you know, I'm using non-quality materials. I use polyesters. I use the cheapest materials that I can find, just because the stuff is so expensive. But if you've got some comments or maybe some insight on this whole molding crap, you know, don't be afraid to comment. You know, hit me up. You know, I like to hear your comments. Share, subscribe, like. You know, we want to take this as far as we can take it. You know, till the next video. Sharp Customs. I'm out. Peace.